endless skies. Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained, I thrive,
So thank you so much for joining us here on Nomads 50 Plus. Today we have a special guest, Pamela Grant. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay,
Pamela
cool.
Grant.
I got your name right. Things are starting to go well already.
There you go.
And we'd love to hear your story and how you got into the life. And I'll ask questions along the way.
Okay, sounds good. I guess what I would say is that before I became a nomad, I honestly didn't really actually know that that was a thing.
Right.
It wasn't something that I actively, set out to do. It actually started, it was shortly after my 50th birthday. And
Something happens when you turn 50, right? It's like a big milestone, and you think to yourself, okay,
you do a
time
big
for a
evaluation.
change.
Yeah, you do an evaluation. Well, and there was a number of things. It was just after COVID. My youngest actually graduated during COVID, and she had gone off to school. And my son had moved to a different city, so I found myself where I was living. All my kids were scattered. I have three, and I was a few years past divorce. So yes, I was doing a bit of an evaluation, and then somebody that I went to high school with, just through a random Facebook group, found out that he had died. He had a fatal stroke,
Oh my gosh.
and
This is someone you went to
yes,
school with.
yeah. I mean, and I
Wow.
honestly, I hadn't spoken to that person since we graduated. At the 25th anniversary of our graduation, somebody had tracked a bunch of people down and started a Facebook group. So people just sort of randomly posted updates. But somebody my age that I went to school with died.
Wow.
It just really, yeah, everybody in the group started saying, like, oh, a lot of people were like, I'm going to double down, work harder so I can retire earlier.
Right.
And and for me, I never really, after the divorce, retirement wasn't really like a big thing that I thought about, mostly because I didn't come out of the divorce great. So it just didn't seem like it was never something that was on my horizon.
Right.
But I did start, I don't know why, I just had it, I stumbled across something that was talking about an adult gap year. And I had never really taken a gap
I
year.
love the
It's
sound
for
of that. That's great.
right? An adult gap year. Yeah, it was in Canada, it's not really a thing. And also, I started working right after high school. I didn't go to university until much, much later. So, yeah, I basically started out, it would have been July of 2022, with this idea that I was going to take an adult gap year. And leading up to that, I sold my condo. I quit both my jobs.
Holy
Sold
cow. A
like
lot of change.
yeah, sold like 75% of my belongings. I had the idea I would take a gap year, and then at the end of the year, I would move someplace else. All three of my kids were in different parts of
Yeah.
Canada. Two of my closest friends had also recently, in the last 2 years, moved away. So there wasn't really anything to keep me where I was.
Well, a
Um,
normal gap year, you just sort of leave your parents and then come back later, but you decided
yeah,
to just blow everything up.
yeah. I joked that I quit my life. Um, And so, and so
This life isn't working for me. I need a new one.
yeah. And it wasn't bad, but it was just like, I just all of a sudden was like, I'm just going to do this for the next 20 some years. I don't know, that doesn't seem like it wasn't bad. It just, I didn't know, it wasn't filling me with a lot of daily excitement or joy. So,
Right.
yeah, so I took off for a year and I started traveling and people were like, how did you decide to do it? And I will be honest, it was a bunch of sort of random things. It started off with 3 weeks, actually with my daughters. Like I said, my oldest had graduated during high school and she never got that grad trip after that is kind of common. So
Right.
we did that. And then I had heard about pet sitting. there's and so I signed up to be like a pet sitter. You go to
Hmm.
people's houses, but it's like a cheap way to travel. So I did I don't know,
It's
a
like
couple of
house sitting and pet sitting at the same time. So you're sitting in.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, and which I love animals. So I did that in the PNW for like 8 weeks, just sort of meandered around Washington, Oregon,
Nice.
and then I ended up going to Guatemala for a month. I
How'd you make that
did a vol.
decision? Seems like out of the blue.
Honestly, well, that's what the first year was very random. I was going to go to Peru, which had always been a lifelong dream to go to Peru. And I had signed up to do it was both a Spanish school and a volunteer experience. And that Peru had just always been, I was a teacher and part of the grade 3 curriculum in Alberta is teaching kids about different countries. Peru is one of them. And I don't know, I had for about 15 years, I always wanted to go to Peru. So I was supposed
Wow.
to go to Peru. They had some civil unrest. There was a bunch of arrests. The president, the stuff that happened to the president. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
Anyways, they were basically advising tourists not to come, and they wouldn't. I couldn't get any. Yeah, the volunteer thing wouldn't guarantee. Anyways, they said we have a sister Spanish school in Guatemala. Would you like to go to Guatemala instead? And I literally had never even heard of Guatemala. I was like, well, let me see where it is. And anyways,
It's on the way to
I went.
Peru. It's on the way.
Yeah, that's how I ended up in Guatemala, which was a beautiful experience. I stayed with the most incredible host family. I happened to make three really good friends. Um, One that I'm still sort of in touch with, and that we met up in Peru the following year. And yeah, Guatemala was wonderful, and it really sort of whet my appetite for traveling to places that I hadn't really heard of. And
Mm.
after that, I came back in between, I came back to Canada and visited my kids. And then I went to Africa for 6 weeks.
Wow. How did you
I,
decide to go to
I,
Africa?
again, I have a friend that I hadn't seen or talked to in almost 20 years. We had found each other on Facebook. She was teaching in Kenya. And when I took my gap year, I sort of was like, can I come visit you?
Why not?
Um, yeah, and so yeah, which was again an amazing decision because we've become really close again. We had lost touch the way you do sometimes, and she is one of my closest friends now. And from there, I went to Tanzania, and I did a volunteer. A few ways along the ways I did. I'm an English teacher, so I
Hmm.
did lots of volunteer teaching. So I spent 3 weeks in Arusha, which was possibly like the most, I don't know, perspective shifting
Wow. And they gave
place.
you room
It
and board
was,
while you were doing all this, I'm assuming.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, the first two volunteer things that I did, I actually did something that I sort of now know is what we call volunteerism. And future volunteer things, I don't know that I would necessarily do it because I don't know exactly. Like you pay a fee,
Hmm.
you volunteer somewhere, they give you room and board, usually with a local family. And it's often like very short-term stints, which after doing mine, realized like, I don't know, I don't think it's the best thing for the schools or the children, truthfully.
Mm.
If you can only come in for 2 or 3 weeks,
Right.
that's more about making yourself feel better, really, than
It's more for you than it
necessarily.
is for them,
It really
unfortunately.
is. It
Yeah.
really is. Yeah, like I think I did a good job and I definitely, but yeah, leaving and especially I was actually at a school that was linked to an orphanage and all the kids there were from the orphanage and the teachers there were not actually qualified teachers. They were
Oh
all
no.
like I'm gonna say like young women between the age of like 20 and 24, and that was like the only job they could get, and they barely spoke any English themselves. It was technically an English school, so I spent as much time teaching the teachers as I did the students, and yeah, 3 weeks was just definitely not enough, and it made me, yeah, it did make me rethink, especially some of the people, other volunteers. They were not English teachers and they
Mm.
were not super interested in teaching. They just were interested, honestly, in a cheap vacation.
Oh, that's no
Um,
good.
so no, some of the volunteer places are great, and there are some wonderful like things on Facebook that do like ethical volunteering. But some of the bigger, more global volunteer experiences that are pretty big corporations, it's much more about, yeah, just a specific type of
Right.
tourism.
Well, how do you find the
But
right ones if you're looking for the right ones? What's the best way to find
um,
those?
Yeah, I will give a shout out just in terms of there's a group on Facebook called EVA, Ethical Volunteering. I don't know what the A stands for.
Hmm.
Um, and just through a lot of searching and looking at different groups, she sort of vets volunteer things from around the world.
Nice.
So the ones that I've found through her and then gone on, I those ones are all really, really good. And then I would just say that any volunteer thing that doesn't require a minimum of at least like 2 months,
Mm,
like if it's like, oh, you can come volunteer for 2 weeks, that's not really that's nothing that's going to make lasting change. And that's really just like a specific type of holiday.
right. Right.
So
It's cheap.
that's
It's a
another
cheap
thing.
holiday, but it doesn't help anybody in the end, really.
Yeah, yeah, you're generally like you can't make any systematic change doing that. And honestly, like what I've done a couple of them and before I sort of started researching more and I don't know. And yeah, just when they're like, what do you want to do? What job do you want to do? Like they're just trying to make you happy, usually because they get a small portion of the money. So it's
Right.
not necessarily a bad thing. Like it's not the worst thing, but there's just a lot better ways. I just for me, I would never, especially because I teach, like there's sometimes other ones where they're looking for people to help with their website, or maybe if they're building a school and they're looking for people with construction experience, those might be a little bit different. But for teaching, if they don't require at least a 2 month minimum, then they just have people floating in and out every week
Yeah.
or two,
Would it
which
be
is,
would it be useful for someone who wants to try it out to see if it's something they want to do? Or
I mean, yeah, like I'm not saying that it's bad, but yeah, I just and I guess my other thing, and this came from my time in Guatemala. There was another teacher there, actually from Canada, and she was at a different center than I was, but she came to talk to me because she was very much like, how do we get them to change how they teach? They don't this, and I just was very like, you're not looking at their
mm,
entire like ecosystem and trying to change how they teach when I didn't know we're teaching in schools. That the place I was at, it wasn't even a school, it was like a childcare center. And it
right.
was missing part of the roof. It didn't have running water. So trying to implement, big changes when, yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I went
I
off
see
on a
that.
tangent. I would say that if you want to see about if you're interested in volunteering and doing like a little 2 week stint, I would just always like anybody that I knew personally would say, like, don't go into it with a how can I help them? It's like more of a like by how can I serve them? Like, and just whatever it is they are asking you to do,
Yeah.
even if you don't understand why, even if you don't. I was very much the place I was at, they wanted the kids to write everything down. And when you're learning a second language, it is my belief that it's much better to be more about the speaking portion, especially
Mm,
with kids,
hmm.
but they're still working from a very traditional educational standpoint where the writing everything down is what is important to them
Right.
and that's what they know. And so, yeah, trying to change how they do things if you're only there for 2 weeks or even 4 weeks, and before you're understanding, I don't know, their foundation or, even just their resources that they have available.
Right.
So,
And then
yeah,
where
I
did you
would
where
say
did you go after that?
so. Yeah, after Africa, I went to Spain, and
That sounds random too. It's like how are
that
you?
was I know it was very random. I did something called the Camino de Santiago, which I wanted for any pilgrims out there. I didn't do the whole thing my first time. It's a I had seen a random movie called The Way. There's a thing in Spain called the Camino de Santiago. It's like a very long pilgrimage that ends up in it's basically supposed to end up at the church where the remains of St. James are. I didn't
Mm,
necessarily do it as like a religious pilgrimage. It's now become very, very popular. Lots of people do it as like a physical challenge. It
right.
actually starts in technically starts in France at Saint Jean Pied, and you go through the
Oh
Pyrenees,
wow.
and then it goes all the way to Santiago. I didn't do that. I started at a place called Ponferrada. There's different places along the way that are starting points. Um, because the whole of there, and there's also a few different caminos but the Camino Frances, I think, is the most popular common. That one's like 800 and I want to say 40 some kilometers. I just did the last
That's a long way to
210.
walk.
Yeah, I just did the last 200. It was 212 was the
Still,
last.
212 kilometers. That's a long way to walk
It
too.
was it
Good
was
job.
a long walk. It was a long walk. It was really good. So yeah, I'd heard about that. I did that one. And so then also while I was there, I did find another volunteer thing. This is something that people that maybe want to look at volunteering or different ways of traveling. It's very common in Spain, Italy too, where they have you can volunteer and it's adults and it's like
Mm.
usually like adults in the corporate world.
Hmm.
And they do these like week-long English retreats and like English speakers from different places
Oh,
volunteer.
nice. And you don't
And
necessarily need to
that
be a teacher to do that.
no, that's just like conversation. And that is like it is very much like you're getting a week at some type of little hotel retreat thing. I will say I was surprised. I was expecting it to be a little bit more of a vacation, but you are like working, volunteering with
Right.
the Spanish people. It was like 10-hour days. But
Wow.
it was
But
also
they cover your room and board and everything,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And we were staying at a really cute little resort town, Al Habram, and it was like, yeah, you got your own hotel room, all your meals are paid for. Plus, you just met some really interesting, wonderful people, both the other volunteers plus the Spanish people. And yeah, that's a very different type of volunteering thing and actually a ton of fun for anybody.
Nice.
I'd say any older single people, especially like as a way to meet people in a new country if people are afraid of solo travel. Doing that, you meet other volunteers, you meet the people from the country. So yeah, I did that. I bopped around Barcelona. I spent I don't know, I think almost 2 months in Spain, and then I went to Italy for a month. And it was during that Spain Italy time that I was like, I don't want to go back to I don't want to just
That's
go
when the
back.
revelation came to you. It's like I want to stay. I don't want to
Yeah.
go back.
How do I keep doing this? And so
But you were at
I
your
did
3 month limit. You had to leave the Schengen, right?
yeah, I
Yeah.
had to leave. So and I had plans. I had a pet sit set up in Canada, actually, and I was also missing my kids. By then I had been on that side of the world for just over 5 months. So
Hmm.
I went back to Canada, started my pet sit, and started working at like teaching English online.
Hmm.
I had been doing I had done a TEFLA course just for my volunteering stuff, but I went and did the actual full 120-hour one to get a certification, and yeah, started teaching online.
Do
And
you use
so
what platform do you use?
I'm on two actually, although I'm not very active right now because I happen to be teaching in person right now, but I'm on one called Cambly and another called Preply.
Yes, I'm familiar
And
with Preply.
yeah. Cambly is mostly kids. They do have adults, but my biggest thing on Cambly is kids, and they have like a nice little setup to teach kids there that makes it
Do
quite
you find that
easy.
that's enough of an income stream to keep you going?
Well, no, which
Okay,
well,
that's good.
which is
I'm
how
glad you're honest about it.
no, which is how I got to Hong Kong. So for I'm going to say 14 months, I was teaching English online. In that time, I did some more traveling in Canada. I also went to, and I know I can't remember what years, 2024. I went to South America for 5 months. I spent a month in Colombia, 3 months in Peru, a month in
Wow, how did you
Bolivia.
fund all those journeys?
Well, that was the teaching online. Like,
Okay.
and what I would do is, so in Canada, I would do some pet sits. When I'm pet sitting, you're staying in some place free, and I make it a rule. I only take pet sits in cities where my kids are. I have three
Hmm.
kids, all
Smart.
living in the most expensive cities in Canada.
Of
So
course.
I take pets, yeah, where my kids are. Then I have somewhere to stay for free. Also, I love animals. I get to take care of the animals. That's really a big thing. I visit my kids, and usually during a pet sit, I will work lots and lots, build up some savings, and then for example, go to South America for five
Right.
months.
Yeah.
And I still, when I was
So you did the
in
4 hour
Peru,
work week thing. Remember that book, 4 Hour Work Week? That's
yeah,
exactly what he says in that book. Just keep on
yeah,
like build up a pile of money and then use it to do the thing you
Yeah.
want, and then come back and do more if you want.
Do some work. Yeah. So yeah, I did that. And even when I was in Peru, I actually stayed in Cusco for 3 months. I found a little rented a suite from actually this lovely local family that I'm now still friends with, and hopefully we'll go back and see next year. And so when I was in Peru, I did actually still keep teaching online. In Bolivia and Colombia, I did more just traveling and
Right.
exploring. So yeah, and it's not and depending on where you are, like in Peru, I only taught 4 days a week. I only taught 6 to 7 hours a day, those 4 days
Online.
a week online.
Yeah.
I would set it up so that usually like Thursday night, I would go and do like a 3-day trip to, I don't know, the jungle or Machu
So
Picchu
you
or
worked, you
Rainbow
worked,
Mountain.
and then you gave yourself
Yeah,
long
yeah.
weekends. Okay.
Yeah, basically. And so, yeah. So if you are in some countries, the teaching online, it totally works in terms of financial sense. Like
Right.
the whole time I was in Peru, I was very easily able to make enough. If you are teaching online and in Europe or North America, I don't know, you would have to teach like 60 hours a week,
Oh yeah, it would be
basically.
insane to be able to cover
Yeah.
those costs. Yeah.
You couldn't do that. So that's for me where the pet sitting comes in, because then when I'm in Canada, I don't actually have to pay for accommodations. But yeah, it's not, I don't know if you could maybe teach online and do like a sort of pet sitting or house sharing, work sharing sort of thing as a long-term thing if you were maybe prepared to, yeah, either do the pet sitting or like lodging, sharing, that type of thing, or just work really, really, really long hours, which is kind of not the point.
Yeah.
I think for most people, teaching English online, you either do it as a side hustle or you do it so you can travel.
Yeah.
But so yeah, full disclosure, it is how I ended up. I will say that. So I had like a year and a half of the online, lots of traveling. In between there, my youngest also got married, which did involve me going back to Canada in Vancouver, which is horribly expensive, and
Oh
spending
yeah.
a couple of months there. And so between all of those, plus I really wanted to go to Asia, but I was like,
Mm.
well, anyways, I randomly applied for an English job in Hong Kong. I was like, well, that could be my home base. Plus also well, it's pretty good money. It's much more expensive here to live than I fully
Oh yeah.
realized.
Hong Kong is
Um,
ridiculous.
it's totally
Hong Kong,
ridiculous.
Singapore, those specific
Yeah.
places are crazy.
Yeah. But so yeah, so I came to Hong Kong for I did take a teaching contract for a year. I'm not at a school, I'm at a learning center. I think if you actually work for an actual school, Hong Kong is very livable, and you make more than enough doing that. Any teachers out there that are looking, and Hong Kong is a really nice place to base yourself, because since I've been here, I've gone to Cambodia, Vietnam, Philippines,
Oh yeah,
like
it's kind of
it's
centrally
a
located for all of
yeah.
Southeast Asia.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and there's a couple really good, like just Asian airlines that you can get cheap flights, lots of different places. So it is a good place to base yourself. It is very, very expensive to live
Mm.
here. It is also an incredible, I'm just never sure whether they call it a city or a country. It's funny because
It's
I feel
both.
like it's both. Yeah. People here always talk about it's funny, people in the West very much, so many people have said, like, oh, you've moved to China. And I'm like, it's so funny because people in Hong Kong do not
But they do not
like,
consider themselves part of China, even though like
no, not at all, not at
politically they
all.
are, but they do not consider themselves
Yeah,
part of China.
no, so it is, yeah, but Hong Kong itself is amazing because there's all the culture, there's tons of history. You do have very much like traditionally and historically, there is a lot of things that are very sort of Chinese, but it is also very international. It is also the most incredible city in terms of how they have kept their nature.
Mm.
And like, you can actually, from where I live, I don't know, I can walk 25 minutes and have access to like several, I don't know, over 100 kilometers of walking trails through
Wow.
the peak mountains and stuff. Like I at least once a week go for like a hike where you would just swear you're in the middle of the jungle,
Fantastic.
and then all of a sudden you come around a lane or something, the trees open up, and you're like, oh right, there's the giant city of Hong Kong below me.
Wow.
Yeah,
I love it.
I don't think people here realize how much nature is available, and also It has a lot of tiny little islands that if you are willing to take a ferry ride, you can go, and it's like stepping back. There's two that are my favorite, and I go there and it feels like it's like the 1920s.
Nice.
Like it's very few, barely any cars. Everybody's traveling on bikes. All the markets are open. They only take cash.
Wow. So are you
And
planning on
that's also
staying there for a while longer, or are
no,
you going to be
no.
moving on? Okay.
So my contract's up at the end of August, and I've gotten myself in like built up some savings again, paid off some wedding debt, and yeah, starting September 5th, I leave. I'm going to Thailand for 5 weeks. Then I
Nice.
will be going back to Canada. And yeah, and then I'm going to start I feel like what I will do, I don't know until I'm tired, I guess, is probably do 2 years of teaching online and wandering and exploring
Wow.
while pet sitting. And then probably I would take a year contract somewhere, teach in person for a year, build
I
up a
really
nice little
applaud you. I think you're
yeah.
amazing because, I mean, going from the life you had before to this life, it's like that. You must have taken a lot of courage to make that leap, that initial leap.
Um, Yeah, it's really weird because yeah, a lot of people from my past. I say my past life. It's not like I don't still talk to people, but like yeah,
Yeah, but they're probably looking at you
were
and going, "What is she doing? Is she crazy?"
I think people think that either lots of people think, oh, you're really brave. I wish you could do that. And I will just say I pretty much every step along the way, every time something's new, I'm terrified. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm
So from the
actually really,
outside, you look like you know what you're doing, but from the
I have no
inside,
idea. Well, no, people are like, how did you decide to do there? Like, honestly, it's a whole bunch of random. And now looking back, I'm like, I look back at a few of the things that I was like, well, that was like terrible financial planning. I have had now 3 border incidents and I'm just still like every single time I go, I am, yes, terrified at borders because I have had 3 times where I haven't had the right paperwork,
oh
visas.
no,
I stayed in Peru. I didn't read the fine line. I didn't know. It's 90 days, which in my head I was like 3 months.
right?
And just based on I wanted to do this one overnight. But anyways, I stayed in Peru an extra day, which
Oh,
is not like a big deal. You would just normally they would just like they make you pay a fine. But I was doing this overnight bus because I wanted to go. There's a place called Copacabana on Lake Titicaca, which is
oh,
right on the
nice.
border of Peru and Bolivia. I don't know. I just really wanted to go because it was called Copacabana. I saw pictures online. It looked beautiful. I was like, I want to go there. Random, but it involves an overnight bus. And when you were crossing the border at one of those weird South American highway things, you can't just pay the fine in person. And so I had to like take my things off the bus, then had to take a taxi back to the previous town
Oh
to pay
no.
the fine at a bank. By the time I got back, the bus had left. And so I actually walked, dragging my ginormous, because I'd gone there for 3 months, dragging my ginormous suitcase across by foot the Peru-Bolivian border
Yikes.
because a taxi wouldn't
Wouldn't go
cross.
across the border.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I've had a few, and my kids are always like,
Luckily, that hasn't
oh,
happened often. That's good.
no.
But
But
you see,
which
the
is
thing
just
is,
to say,
even after that experience, you keep on doing it, so it's all good.
yeah, yeah. But just which is just to say people are like, oh, I don't know how to do it, or I'd be too scared, or I would just say that I'm very much proof that you can totally do it even with no idea what you're doing. And you can make
It'll
lots
work
of
out.
mistakes and you just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
that is my
that's
story.
fantastic. So what do you do about healthcare and things like that? Have you?
I literally was talking to my daughter last night about being interviewed. She was just like, she just finds it really, all my kids do, they get a kick out of it because I don't know, like I said, I'm not very successful at a lot of things. And they're like, people want to
But
interview
you're
about
you're
doing that?
successful at being a digital nomad. Look at you. You're going all over the
Well,
world.
I'm not. So I said, I bet you he's going to ask me about healthcare because it is something that I'm on several Facebook groups. Everybody's always talking about it.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say this, and I don't know, nobody, I don't know, judge me too much. I have not had when you do volunteer things, it is a requirement that you have some type of travel insurance.
Right.
And so after the three different volunteer experiences where I paid all like I don't know almost $1,000 in like health insurance that I didn't use at all.
Right.
I have not had travel or health insurance since then.
And you haven't needed it.
I haven't. Well, and that's not even true. Here's what I found. I think people, I don't want to generalize and I don't want to sound judgy, but I do feel like people in North America have very, I'm going to say, biased opinions about healthcare in other countries that I don't actually think are founded in truth. And I think that, I don't know, maybe North America has cultivated this idea to justify what we spend in taxes or something. I'm just going to say I got
Well, in Canada
really
for
sick.
sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I got sick in Peru, went to a doctor in Peru, saw a doctor and had more efficient care there and got medicine at like 20% the cost.
Yeah. It's a fraction. It's a fraction of the price.
Then and literally had excellent care. I had this is not me personally, but a travel friend that I had made had a severe like dental issue when they were in Turkey and literally ended up going back to Turkey. Like they had such good dental care there, so cheap that another time that it was the friend that went back to get more
Wow.
stuff done there. Because if any nomads traveling, I'm going to say Turkey's the place to go for very cheap but excellent dental care. I have since I've been here, this is a very common thing with expats here, gone to Shenzhen, which is, I don't know, like
Yeah,
it
I
is
know where that is. I've been to Hong Kong.
But yeah, just so for people, it's in China. It's an hour on the train, depending on the type of passport you have. For me, if you have a Canadian passport, I literally can go for 7 days into China at like zero cost at all. I don't know, it's like $20 or something for the landing visa thing.
Yeah. A
But
lot of countries
I
are starting to
have,
do that anyway. This sort of like entry fee kind of thing.
but I went to a dentist there. I have an appointment next month before I leave, just for another checkup and another cleaning. For literally, I had honestly a better dental experience there than I've ever had in Canada. And again, like I'm going to say like a tenth of the cost.
Yeah.
So yeah, now having said all that, I have just recently joined it's kind of a house sitting, financial planning, travel nomad group, coaching group. And I think that I might get health insurance in the fall. Like it's like I found like a nomad insurance.
Right.
Just because, yes, maybe I keep pushing my luck. I'm not sure. But so far I haven't needed it. And I would just say, like, obviously, if you break your leg in another country and you're wanting to get home, or if you have some type of serious heart condition or other sort of serious medical thing, and you are faced with the flying home while sick, that's when you want the health insurance. But for me, I'm thankfully quite healthy. And I just, up until now, it just didn't, to me personally, make sense to get it.
Yeah.
I'm not recommending that people do wander around without health insurance. It's probably not wise. But
Although
I haven't
it's
needed
interesting
it
you
so
should
far.
say that, because every single other person who I've interviewed has said the same thing. Is so inexpensive outside of North America.
Yes,
That
it is.
it's ridiculous. It's like, why spend so much money? I think the few people who do have it, they have some kind of catastrophic, something really serious happens, ship you back to the States or
Yeah.
Canada or whatever. But outside of that, if there's just something happens to you, then the local prices
Yes.
are so low. They're cheap all over Europe,
Okay.
all over Asia, wherever you go. South America probably
Yeah.
too, right? Like you said.
Yes. And I do feel I have a couple of people that were like, you went to a doctor in Peru, and I'm like, you've never even been there. You don't like to be so judgmental. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, it's wild to me that. But well, that makes me really happy that I am perhaps not the
No,
only
you're
one.
not the only. It's
Okay,
across the board. I think what happens is that this is what ends up happening is that we have this perception that you have to have health insurance. So
yeah,
people leave, they buy health insurance, and then they go. And then as time goes by, and they do have local treatment, they
yeah,
realize this is dumb. Why am I doing this?
it's
I don't need to do
yes,
this. Yeah.
okay, yeah.
So
I would
you're
say
doing it
yeah.
right.
There I mean, it's just it's worked for me. And honestly, I don't even know. I was looking at it basically is that if something happened, I don't want my kids to be like stressed out about. And also, I just don't even want to like I have a nest egg, an investment set up in Canada that is like my not touching thing. So that
Yeah.
if something does happen, I'm somewhere, I don't know, I break both my legs, I need to fly home and I can't travel anymore and like a get back on my feet thing. But that's like a so I was looking at that, but my son recently, he was like, I didn't know. He's like, if you do something, I'll come and get you. Don't worry about it. Don't worry
Yeah.
about insurance. So we will see. I have been thinking about it just because it does seem to be a thing that everybody and the person that I was talking to, they were saying that no, with the Nomad insurance as opposed to travel insurance, she has been nomading for 9 years.
Mm.
And she's like, I go to the doctor, I go to the dentist, and even however cheap it is, I still get 90% of it reimbursed through my Nomad insurance.
Wow. Nice.
So, yeah, when she said that, I was like, is it? And so, yeah, we discussed some figures. So I can't remember where it is. So there is a type of Nomad insurance that you can get that is different from, I think, the traditional travel insurance, which is expensive and not useful. I'm gonna look into that. We'll see.
Yeah, no,
Because
if you could
I
send me the
do.
link to that, I'd love to be able to put it into the notes so that people
Oh,
can
okay.
can go there if it's
I
possible.
will. I
So
will also maybe send you the link to, I don't know if there's any. So this thing, it's called the Wanderwell Club, and she's actually not 50 plus, she's 30 something.
that's perfectly fine.
But yeah, but her and her partner have been pet sitting. Um as like their pet sitting and she does teach English online and he does some consulting, but they have not had a residence for going on 10 years now.
Fantastic.
And they don't take pet sits that are less than, I think she said that they always like to be someplace at least 3 months.
Mm.
They always require that a car, and they've built up enough of a reputation. But yeah, she started sort of coaching people, like especially she's from the States, and she's like people that are, maybe wanting to leave the States and travel, like here's the segue. So she actually has a couple of good links, but one, yeah, is the health insurance,
Yeah, that'd be great if you
which
could send that over. So,
yeah,
do
it's
you have, so are you like, do you actually have a website? Are you a digital creator? Do you create stuff and
but
put it
no,
online? Like almost
no,
everybody
I'm
else who I
so,
talk to has a blog or a Substack or a website or
okay,
a
but
podcast or
yeah.
something.
So yes, everybody does. I do have a blog. I 100% have a blog. It is not a traditional travel blog. I have had a couple of people reach out to me about, oh, would you like to? Basically, I have a blog that where I just tell stories about here's things not to do when you're traveling, and also here's random life lessons that I've learned.
I love that.
And yeah, and it's not that I never post links, but yeah, I actually had it was like a influencer coach stumbled across I don't know, my Instagram blog sort of thing and reached out to me and was like, I can help you monetize this. And she was telling me all the things. And um I am terrible about posting consistently. Totally depending on my frame of mind will depend
Yeah,
how
because
much
that's what
I'm
you
online
would
or
need
not.
to do that. Yeah.
You need to do that. And in terms of, she was like you should be like linking, like, what is your favorite travel bag? And I'm like, I don't know. My favorite travel bag I've had for 5 years, and I got it. I don't even remember why, because it was on sale.
Exactly.
And she's like, where do you stay? And I'm like, I stay at the very cheapest places that I could find. And so like I don't have a specific booking platform. I never do tours that are ones you can find online, I always wait till I get there and then I ask local people who's the local guide where I'm not giving I'm not against these, but like I'm gonna say like thing and I understand if you are limited on time and you don't know where you're going and also you're not maybe super experienced, you're gonna use things like Get Your Guide.
Yep.
That's I think the most common one.
Oh, sure.
Those ones
Provider
they
and
literally they pay the local companies that they are the filters for, they pay the local companies like 40% of what they charge the
yeah,
people. And then within that local company, the actual person guiding you is getting like 10% of that.
yeah.
So for me, I try really hard I have like once or twice booked through those because I can't figure out a way to get somewhere like as a solo person. And then especially sometimes a woman, like I'm not super comfortable renting a car by myself because yeah, I've heard a few
Yeah.
stories. I didn't know. But yeah, for the most part, so even she was saying like, you should link your this. And I was like, I didn't know the person that I went to 3 or 4 different places in Peru, they didn't even have a website. They had like a
Yeah.
WhatsApp. It
Yeah.
was like just this dude that I found through this other dude that asked me for free English classes. Like,
So
so
you'd like to
anyways,
monetize, but it's going to be difficult based on the way you do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, I really enjoy the writing and I don't know, I will give you the link to my blog. And because I have put some links in, I don't know, I went to this place called Ollantaytambo and had like the most lovely little stay at this tiny local hotel, locally owned. And so like those kinds of things, I will be like, if you're going, please go and stay here. They're not on any platforms. It was amazing service. People are always worried about like paying for things that are not through the platform.
Right.
And I'm just gonna say like anybody that is 100% local, you will get way better service. They will never cheat you.
Yeah.
You're more likely to get cheated or scammed when you're booking through something like booking.com, who
Absolutely.
doesn't
100%.
actually vet. Yeah. So which is just to say that yes, I have a blog. The only thing that I every once in a while I do think about, oh, you should try to promote it more to try to increase your subscriber list, mostly because I was just about to say a bad word, halfway. I don't know. I'm very slowly, maybe in about 6 years, I'll be done writing this book that I started a year ago. So many people were like, you should write a book about all of this.
Right.
And so, yeah, I don't know if I'll ever get finished, but the monetizing the blog, I really enjoy the writing and I do it mostly for my own enjoyment. And I do have, a small subscriber list and it's a lot of people actually in there. A lot of people I have some people that are like, we're living vicariously through you,
Mm-hmm.
which that's lovely. And then I have a few people that stumbled across it, kind of got inspired and ended up taking their first solo trip or
Oh,
their
nice.
first
That's
sort
fantastic.
of thing. So I just feel like if I actually started to try to monetize it and try to do links, then it would become A, like a job, and B, I probably would change how I write because I would think,
Oh yeah, you'd be thinking
so
of it from that perspective for sure. But
yeah.
it sounds like you haven't needed it to fund your journey,
No,
right? Because that's what
no,
a lot
I
of
mean, I will say my kids are always, you should post more regularly. You should start doing content stuff because I do make reels and stuff. I don't know, it's kind of an artistic
but then
outletty
it just
thing.
sort of changes, like you said, it changes the
Yeah.
reason for
So
doing it. So you might not love
yeah.
to do it as much as you are. Yeah.
Yeah, so so I do have a blog. I will give you the link. It's funny because you said digital nomad, and my blog is called The Analog Nomad. Because I am
I
not
talk to analog
at
nomads
all,
too. It's all good.
yes, I am not at all digital. It was when I started teaching online, and I told me, and somebody's like, "Oh, you're a digital nomad now," and I just like, yes, I'm so far because I'm one of the things I'm terrible at, international and online banking and SIM cards. I'm going to say
I was going to ask you about that.
at least every 3 months, I have some situation where I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm having to learn something new again. And it's always, yes, I was not a very techie person beforehand. I'm slowly getting better, but mostly just because I have to. But yeah, the banking online is in the SIM cards.
Would you
Yeah,
find that
is
that's the most
nightmare.
challenging thing? What about finding internet where you are? I mean, you have no issues with that?
Pardon. I mean, I have had a few. Like the online teaching is tricky because you need pretty good signal.
Yeah.
And honestly, the most trouble that I've ever had, yeah, in Peru, where like I literally had stumbled across this family, lovely, didn't want to leave, but trying to. It took a solid week before we could figure out how I could get strong enough internet where I was, and it literally involved me having to move a table to the top of the stairs, and I had a
Well,
wire.
at least you didn't
Anyways,
have to
it
go
was
to the
a
local library or internet
no,
cafe or
no.
anything like that. So,
Well, no, and that's the thing actually about teaching online. You cannot go to like a cafe or a library unless you're willing to pay for like a room, like
yeah,
because some of those places they have rooms. Because when you're especially when you're teaching children, you're teaching so loudly,
yeah,
like and you're enunciating and you're doing all kinds of so
yeah.
you need some privacy for that. But honestly, the place that I've had the most issues with is Wi-Fi is literally anytime I'm in, which I'm frequently, both Vancouver Island and like the
So
PNW,
Canada
some
has
of
the problem.
well, Canada, also the US in terms of anywhere you get to the on that board in that border area between Canada and the US and lots of the little islands and stuff, which is the places that I like to go pet sit because they're the most beautiful.
Right.
But they actually on both sides of the border have the worst Wi-Fi. So that's that and yeah, Africa. I didn't actually try to teach online at all in Africa because that's different places in there. It's just
Yeah.
really
But what's good
tricky.
about, at least with you, it's not sort of like a crux to your income, right? Because you
But
get
in
most of the brunt of your income comes from pet sitting and teaching in person as
okay,
opposed
well,
to,
so no income comes from pet sitting. When I pet sit, I'm
oh,
on a
okay.
platform. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've taken a couple of paid ones. And that's just sort of people through word of mouth. But I'm going to say 90% of my pet sitting, there's a platform I don't know, and if anybody ever wants to join, they can reach out to me and I can give them a link for a discount. But it's called Trusted House Sitters,
Hmm.
and it is a global platform. I like it because like they vet their pet sitters really well in terms of criminal record check and all of that stuff. They do the same thing for the owners. So just because, yeah, it's again like a little, I don't know. Well, I pet sit in Hong Kong. Like if you're in a different country and you're just all of a sudden going to stay in a random stranger's house, it's nice to know that they've at least had,
Right. And there's
you
no
know,
payment with
so
that at
there's
all.
no payment. It's 100%. So yeah, so some people are like, why would you do it for free? And it's like, well, I mean, in Hong Kong, I did it mostly just because I don't know if you can see, I literally live in like a 200 square foot shoebox here. And so a couple of times I've
Isn't
taken,
that a luxury apartment in Hong Kong, considering how dense it is?
yeah. Well, no, so like a couple of times I've taken pet sits because I'm like, oh my God, look at their apartment. And what they have a bathtub, like, nobody has bathtubs in Hong Kong. So, but I mean, for me, mostly it's in Canada. Like, it's such a good way to like, but like it not pay for accommodations. I do know some people that usually though, when you're pet sitting and you're doing it like for money, it's and most people that do it as like their job where they live.
Right.
Like it's hard to do
But
it,
you
but
haven't needed to do that. So you'd say that
you
what percentage of your income comes from each source, would you say?
know. I mean, it's really I like honestly, like in Canada, like although I don't get paid for pet sitting, the places, the free accommodations,
Right.
that's like 40% of what I would honestly like of what I would spend. Like I just actually secured, I'm going back to Canada in October, and previous I don't know, clients, I guess, actually reached out and said, like, are you coming back to Canada soon? We have this trip planned, but we'd really like for you to come back and take care of the house. So they live on an acreage in on Vancouver Island,
Ooh, nice.
the outdoor hot tub, and it includes the use of their car. And I'm going there for 6 weeks. They have like a Japanese garden, like
Score.
it's like yeah, like to rent someplace like that in Canada would be like $6,000 for a month,
Oh yeah.
and I'm gonna
Ridiculous.
go and yeah, so it's kind of hard to monetize that exactly, but yeah, so I would say
No, 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 but you don't need to monetize it because it's basically covering your costs. I mean,
yeah, but
so
yeah, so
you're doing it. It's a nice balance. There's some people who are like, oh, I want to make a whole crap load of money
yeah,
and then use it to pay for my accommodations. But
yeah,
if you can get your accommodations for free, I mean,
yeah.
that's just as good as
Yeah. So
making it.
then yeah, then I like, and I said, like, I'm also pretty inconsistent with my teaching. Like right now, just for the next 2 months, like teaching here has been like, on the one hand, like it's actually been pretty good money and stuff. Used it to pay off some debt, started like using it to save for some other travels. And honestly, for the next 2 months, I'm going to be doing, I've only been teaching minimum online because I haven't needed to. Also, I'm teaching a lot in person, but I have some regular kids that I
Hmm.
didn't want to. So I'm teaching a little bit, but over the next 2 months, I'm going to start teaching more, mostly just so that when I go to Thailand, my daughters are actually coming to meet me for
Nice.
2 weeks. So I don't want to work it all then. So yeah, I have a very, for some people, probably like, but not just imperfect, but probably would cause anxiety. Like in terms of, yeah, if I'm
Have
like,
you always been like this though?
no, no, actually, no, not at all. This has been a learn. I I had a childhood growing up that caused me to actually be sort of very controlling, borderline OCD as an
Mm,
adult. I was married for over, well, 25 years. And I will just say, like, in my marriage, I had to be extremely organized and was the one that took care of everything. So I
right.
was very much I'm not going to say rigid, but I was very scheduled. Yes, I was the one that kept order in the lives, and we
Yeah.
had three
And this
kids,
life
and we
is the
had a lot of
complete
stuff.
opposite of that.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say when between the divorce and more like, I don't know, unraveling of things after the divorce, and then also COVID, just really was like just the whole control and planning, and for me it just felt like, well, that was all an illusion. And um
Wow.
yeah, and I did live a life where it was very much, we will retire at this age, we will do this, we
Oh yeah,
had bought these
you were
prop
following the plan. You were following
we
the
were
plan.
yeah, we had rental properties, one which was going to be a vacation home. We had like all of that stuff. And honestly, it wasn't very comfortable for me, but I was just going along with it because I felt like that was, and
But you're
yeah,
probably
so
way happier now, the way you are now.
I really am. Not to say it's not, there's been some highs and lows over the past 3 years, but I have definitely like felt more alive, like consistently. Like
Mm,
again, not to say there's been I'm gonna say especially in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is the first place that I felt lonely, which is weird because it's
mm.
so crowded, and I do know a few people here. But yeah, I guess maybe being away for so long. And it is, I think, yeah, it's quite different. But yeah, I definitely feel more alive. I have had more, like, I can't believe I'm seeing this, or I can't believe I'm here, or yeah,
Nice.
for me it's totally everything. And people keep saying, some people that I know, like, are you never gonna come back to a regular life? And I'm just like, I don't
This
know.
is
I
a
think,
regular life. What's wrong with this life? This is a great life.
right? I just, yeah, like people are like, yeah, I'm really lucky because I'm very close with my children. I have three grown children. They're, uh, let me get their ages wrong, 27, 26, and 22. And I am super lucky because all of them are like, well, if you have to, you can come and live with us. I mean, I don't want to do that, but yeah, like for me, for right now, yes, I feel alive all the time. And, people are like, but it's hard or it's difficult. Yeah, but it's just a different kind of hard or difficult. Regular life is, yeah,
Yeah,
regular life. I don't know, having a mortgage is hard and
yeah.
difficult.
But the upsides of this are way better than the
I
downsides.
think so. I
Yeah.
think so. And like, I don't necessarily, I have a friend, and she kept saying like, oh, I want to do this, but like you have to do it with me, or I want to do this after this, or I want to do this. And I was just finding like, I don't think you do want to, like, because
Yeah.
it's not, I've had a few people like say, oh, I wish I could do what you're doing. And it's like, I am not like a rich digital nomad. I am not like, I have stayed in places that I don't know. I'm literally living in a place that is smaller than what my master bedroom used to be.
Right.
I am cooking off of a portable, for a year, a portable stovetop is all
Yep.
that I have here. So it's not like anybody can if you really wanted to. It just some people don't want to, and that's totally fine. Like for some people, going to the same vacation spot every year, that I think is what brings them joy. And so
Yep.
that is also totally fine. But for some of us, people are always like, oh, where do you want to go back? And there's two places that I maybe do want to go back, but for the most part, I'm like, there's like 100 places I still haven't been that's on my
That's right. There's
list.
like
Like,
190 countries you haven't visited yet. So
right? Yeah. I did actually just recently count the countries because somebody had asked how many countries. I'm like, oh, I don't even know. I haven't, that's not been necessarily my thing. My thing is more about either see a picture or have read about someplace in a book, and then I'm like, ooh, I should go there.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta
Yeah.
wrap up, but I just have
Yes.
like, do you have any final words of advice for someone who is aspiring to get into the life?
Oh, I would just say that do it scared. Like it's going to be scary. You're never going to feel ready if it's something that is calling you. Like set yourself up some kind of safety net if you want. I wouldn't necessarily suggest for people to like before they've done it at all to just sell everything and go. That's pretty bold. Like rent your house out for 6 months and try it out sort of thing. But yeah, and it is going to be hard, and especially if you happen to be single and it's going to sometimes be lonely, but it's a different type, and it's I don't know. I would just say I'd rather be lonely in Hong Kong than be lonely in Edmonton, Alberta, which is where I used to live. So like
And
being
I have
lonely
been
in
to
Hong
Edmonton myself. It's
right?
fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, and nothing against Edmonton. I go back, I visit, I have lovely friends there.
Yeah, my oldest actually
But
went to went to school in Edmonton for a few
oh,
years.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And it's lovely during the summer. I don't recommend it during the winter.
No, especially
But
with the hailstorms.
yeah, yeah, it's terrible. So, no, I would just say try it. Yeah. And you don't, people think you have to either be a content creator or have some type of super techie. I would just say that I am proof that you can be not very digital and also not necessarily super wise with money, and you can still bop around the world and have lots of fun. And I don't know. I have had some miserable fails, but they like make epic stories. So
Yes, absolutely. Well, this
yeah.
has been great. Thank you so much. So I'll put the links
Yeah.
to your blog and everything in the show notes. And if there's anything else you want to send, I'll put in the notes as
Sure.
well. So thank you so much. This has been great. So much fun.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained, I thrive, I thrive. Oh, I thrive, I thrive, I thrive. I thrive, I thrive, I thrive.